So a taping technique for an Achilles tendon pathology. So we're using 2-inch EAB. So our first anchor strip, ensuring the foot's in a plantar position, is going to be around mid-tibia, and it's going down at a slightly oblique angle, so it's inferior and lateral, and this should be just around the bottom of gastrocnemius. So there's our first anchor strip. And our second anchor is going to be in the same position but just slightly higher, overlapping by a half into here. With our distal anchor point being around the midfoot. Again, all of these are going to be free from tension. They're just simply bits of tape which other bits will adhere to. Okay, so if you could lie into your front, please. So this technique uses the elastic properties of the tape to offload that Achilles tendon and hopefully minimise discomfort. So whereas zinc oxide's inelastic and rigid, this stuff here is given it, which will again support that Achilles tendon and hopefully minimise discomfort for your patient. So the next strips, the first strip will be starting off from the distal anchor point, right in the middle, and then we're going to bring it up to the calcaneus free from tension. Then we're going to put the EAB on stretch. So in that position we haven't got it lengthened or on stretch at all, but we're then going to incorporate a stretch into the tape, and then we're going to stick it down onto our proximal anchor right in the middle. So really make sure it's firmly stuck down so it doesn't come detached. Our next strip is going to start laterally. It's going to bring it towards the calcaneus again, free from tension, and then we're going to cross this over. In that position, again, it hasn't got any tension. We're going to put the tape on stretch, and then we're going to stick it down onto our proximal anchor, and it's going to be travelling and attached in a more medial position compared to our first strip. Our final strip will start medially on our distal anchor point, bring it to the calcaneus, same principle as the previous two strips, get the tape on tension, bring this one laterally, and then attach into our proximal anchor, as we said, on the lateral side. We're going to close off at the distal end, just to ensure all those strips are going to be covered over and don't come detached. And then we're going to test it to see if it's got the appropriate level of tension that we want. So at the moment, these strips have been laid down with some tension, but it's a bit subjective and we haven't really got an idea if it's an appropriate level of tension for the patient, so we can test it. So what I'd like you to do, please, if you could stand up for me. So you're facing the window, and I've got hold of those bits of tape at the proximal end. Now if you could keep your heel on the floor, and if you could move your knee towards my hand so you're moving into dorsiflexion. Do you feel like you're getting towards end range there? Yeah. You are? Okay, fantastic. If you could stand up, if you could just climb back onto the couch. So when we test it, then what we're after is we want to have full range of movement into dorsiflexion. We don't want to minimise any range of movement, but we should be getting a feeling of tension through the tape, so it's using the elastic properties of the EAB to support and offload the Achilles tendon. So with our patient here, we had a full range of movement, but there was definitely some tension through the tape, so it was an appropriate level of tension. So to close this all off, if you could lie onto your back, please. And shuffle a bit more towards me, thank you. So to close off, This is following where our first anchor went, around the bottom of the gastrocs. And then the only thing we may need to close off is just down here, because if they're wearing tights, if they're wearing socks, it might well stick to it. So if you feel it might be an issue with clothing, then you can also put a further closing off strip. Again, free from any tension, but that will just keep the tape a bit closer to your patient's lower leg and minimise problems with sticking to clothing. And if you did, upon testing it, if you did feel that, or if your patient felt it was too tight, then you can detach those strips that are under tension and lower down. If they didn't feel tight enough, you could detach them and then put them under more tension and stick in towards the proximal anchor.